我们尽情分享到最深的地方，愿你的生命宁静温暖如海洋。在欧丁剧场里面啊，经验交换与教学的传承是一个非常重要的一个部分啊。可不可以谈谈，就是说你们为什么会把这个部分在当做你们一个非常重要的一个行动跟理念，在你们教学系统里面？
I told that we began as amateur, so we were not led by theories. We were doing practical things. As any young person, we want to do. We don't want to read. We don't go to the university. An actor is someone who acts, who's doing actions, who wants to work and do anything with all the body. So we had no theories. Very often in the work, I never explained to my actors anything. We were just doing very practical things. And all my communication was concentrated on the practical task, artistic task, very limited of the moment. When the audience became known, then I was in such situations like today. People were coming and making an interview, and then I had to formulate all this experience, which is a tacit knowledge, a knowledge which I have incorporated and at the same time is still not being formulated. So I had to find ways to formulate it. But for instance, my actors, when they read my books, they laugh. They say, oh, it's very complicated what we are writing. It's good for university people. So theories have not had any influence on the practical work of the audience. And they arrived. I began to write after 20 years of practice. Only after 20 years I began to put down through words certain of my comparative studies, like for instance theater anthropology is a long studies which I've been doing sort of field work like an anthropologist, therefore the word theater anthropology, which means the study of the human being in a situation of performance. But this was when already all my actors had acquired their bases, their fundaments, technical fundaments, and they had become autonomous as artists.
我也一直觉得很有意思，就是说我们看你们的资料里面，就是说，其实欧丁这样的一个成立啊，其实你也是经过了很早期的很辛苦的一个时间，包括去艺术学院去贴广告，去找一些戏剧的表演人才，然后经过了一些训练的时间，有些人可能吃不了这个苦就离开了哈。那你都是怎么样去面对你生命中的各种的一些困难？欧丁这成立以后40几年，是不是都一帆风顺，还是说会碰到什么困难？你怎么去面对它？怎么解决
？Many times, Odin Theatre was on the point of closing because human crisis. There are always conflicts in a group. Our group is not perfect. We have many problems of relationships sometimes. Actors suddenly leave because they meet another person, because they feel the need to go away, and also because economical, material conditions very often have been so harsh that the theatre had no possibility to survive. We managed. At the last moment there came a new grant, or we could make a new project, a new production. So it has always been, from the very beginning, a sort of effort, almost beyond the limits, our limits. So all our people are accustomed to work 10, 12 hours a day, sometimes even more. We are always tired. We feel a tiredness I can't remember one day of my 44 years on theater without feeling tiredness, but at the same time, tiredness it doesn't stop us. These are the conditions. I mean, if you don't fight against this situation, then you go down like with the Titanic. I mean, then society, then what is happening around us is just taking you, submerging you. When I was speaking about the Titanic, I say that if I don't fight to the extreme, then I will go down with the Titanic. If I want to save my little lifeboat, and the lifeboat is this theater, this small theater, then I have to do a huge, huge effort. And I can't pretend that the state or the foundations gives me money, because this is my need. This is my necessity of having my lifeboat. Having this, what I call an island of freedom, which is theater. So, still now, Odin is in a very, very precarious, difficult situation. On one side, we are a sort of monument. You can find us in all theater books about the history of theater. My merits or the auditor's merits are everywhere. We get a lot of medals. We get medals, we don't get funds. Well, every day when we gather, we look at each other and say, shall we continue, shall we give up? Shall we go under and become normal persons like everybody? Or shall we continue? Until now, in spite that we have become old, we still have this wish, this anger to continue.
Six black men advanced in a file toiling up the path. Oh, they looked erect and so sweet as love I ever had. I love I didn't want to be any man's bride, but now I'm older and married, I would say. I found my sweetheart, but he would not marry me. When I was younger, the boys okay. But now I am older and they all settled down. Control your mind, my girl, and give your heart to one. Because I didn't want to be any bride. But now I'm older and married.
我一直在想说，剧场的魅力到底是什么，会让这么多的人可以不断的在里面，像你等于是付出你所有的一生，而且你算是一个非常非常热情的人，你付出所有的热情，你所有的精力，它的魅力到底是什么？
My direct answer would be, since life is meaningless, I can do also a meaningless work with my theater. It's not useful. To be a doctor is useful. To be a lawyer is useful. To be a locomotive driver is useful. Apparently, theater is not useful. Apparently, but it's a big mistake. I think the theater has been, for in the past and still now, in a more limited way, an important security valve where individuals, it's a place where individuals who are rebels, who are unfit, those who were homosexual and homosexuality was prohibited, women who were repressed then in society, they could go in theater and they could live a sort of freedom. It was an illusory freedom, fiction, but nevertheless they were living according to their needs. So theater is for me one of the few places where you can be separated by the rules, the values of society, but at the same time remaining in the middle, in the heart of the society. You could go in a monastery, of course, but in a monastery then you have a faith. If you are lucky and you have a religious faith, well, your life is, it's not bad. I mean, you have a big consolation. You can go to Mount Athos, you can go to some mountain, in some ashram, and then you can live there. But if you are not helped by a religious faith, if you have no faith at all, then the theater can become a sort of active meditation, a sort of active in the sense that you are doing something which for many people will be considered useful, artistic, sort of alibi. But for me, it's something else. It's a way of separating myself from society, from the rules. I live in the society without belonging to it.
我想最近呢，可能全球都在一种不安的心态，因为这个金融海啸啊。但是也有很多人说这是一个机会，说我们重新检视我们自己的这个生活跟精神生活的这样的关系。那我想。您是不是也可以跟我们谈谈，就是说表演艺术，对于在这样的一个时刻哈，那我们怎么样去重新面对表演艺术，或者说表演艺术可以带给人在生活里面一些什么样的一个分量，一些在精神生活上的一些可以说是一个比较扎实一个，或是一个安定，或者说得到一种很不是物质的一种饱足感。
Theater is made by human beings. These human beings have different needs when they come to theater. Some of them want to be known, want to expose, exhibit their vanity, their bodies, how good they are, their talent. They want to express themselves, they want to be recognized, to feel the appreciation of the people. They want to give something. They want to be helpful to society. There are many, many needs. There is not only one need. I can say I also like to be recognized. I like when people say you are good. I think that in any human being it exists this instinct of being accepted. If we are not accepted, then we become aggressive and find many justification for our acts of rejection and refusal and rebellion. For me, theater are many, many things. It is the possibility of choosing the people I can work with, to appreciate the daily anonymous discipline, rigor, spirit of sacrifice, invention, the pleasure of discovery together. It is a sort of individual work, each of us at the moment of creation is alone. No one can help us. We have to be alone there. At the same time, we have these other people around us creating a certain atmosphere, a certain quality of energy. So this is very important, as it is important the fact that it permits me to travel. I like very much to travel, to meet new situations. At the same time, during this long period of rehearsals, I have also a feeling of a very strange crossing of a desert. Very difficult to make an introduction. Sometimes I feel in despair. Sometimes I can't sleep in the night. I have physical problems. And all these efforts, and then at the end you start seeing something growing, and then the performance appears. Well, this is an experience which is very, very hard, but every time I do again because I know that maybe I will be succeeding once again in seeing, in experiencing this final phase when I see a new life. For me, a performance is like a baby who has been born out of a strange mother, father, who are all of us working there. It doesn't belong to us anymore. And it is as the performance is not a result of our wills, but it's something else. So all this makes me to do theater, not just because it's a spiritual technique. No, we are very mixed. What is interesting today is that in spite the theater has become the performance which is a minority, it's a minority performance, only for a few people leading performance. Because our times performance is the registered, the recorded one. The television, film, this is the real performance. But this living performance, what we see is a variety, such a variety, that in a way can satisfy the needs of many spectators and the many people who go actively to perform. This is for me what I consider. And I will say, is theater, living theater in crisis? Living performance? No, opposite. We see that it remains more or less in the same quantity, level, even augmenting a little, because I think that theater is a need in the human animal. I think that the man or woman is an animal with the theater inside, the necessity of doing this. But today it is manifested partially in living theater. But you know, all the society today has become a big performance. Politics has become performance, business has become performance, fashion is becoming performance. So this needs to perform, it can be satisfied in many different ways today than before it was not.
我知道在台湾有很多人很喜欢戏剧，可是大多数的人其实可能在他一辈子里面没有机会去接近剧场。您在最后一个问题，您有没有跟这些可能一辈子都没有进过剧场的人说一些您的想法？
Theater is a need on one side and a habit, a cultural habit. If you were born in a family where someone took you to the theater, then probably you will know what theater is, and if you have this need, you will be go to see a performance. But I will say that even people who don't go to theater, I grew up in a small village in South Italy where didn't exist any theater, and I didn't see any theater performance there until I left this village. But we had many performances, all the religious performances. unbelievable. The processions when you go in the temple or in the church, Catholic church, the singing together, the incense, the clothes of the priests on one side. When you gather for Christmas, for the New Year, all the family, the grandfather, this is a sort of ritual, this sort of performance. All our inner human being is always ritualizing, which means formalizing certain moments of their life, very important. When somebody is dying, is dead, then all the burial becomes a performance in which you participate. So each of us all over the world has been experiencing a performance which they've not been calling theater, but which had to do with the most important experience of our life. Love, life, sex, and death. Each of us. So even if they don't go to a performance which is in a special building or in a special space which is called theater, it doesn't matter. They've been doing this experience and they are still doing this.
谢谢，我非常非常开心有机会能够访问到你，也非常谢谢您给我们这么多的感动的一些讯息，谢谢。
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
رجعت اليماني وزاد فا حبيبي ندهلي اللي شتي الراحة رجعت اليماني وزاد فا وانا على دربه ودربه هزمات ويا شمس المحبي هدينا سري